go, you guys. What's happening? It's Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time. We got Bootsy out there barking. We got 12 fights to break down. This is a pay-per-view card that is going to finish up with 2 title fights. We got a 125-pound women's title fight between Valentina Shevchenko and Taylor Santos. And then we've got the light heavyweight championship between Glover Teixeira, the current champion, and the challenger, Yuri Prochazka. It is going to be an absolute banger of a main event, great co-main event. And then we've got the rematch between Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Zhang Weili, an absolute classic from over 2 years ago that we're getting to see again, this time for a 3-round fight. So we've got a great card to break down today. And we're going to finish like we always do with the greasy 4-leg parlay. And we're going to finish after that with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. We came through last week with the ass shaving of the week. We got Trash Car Mozarov got his ass shaved by Alonzo Menafield. He made it look easy. The fact that Menafield is over at Fortis was a key to me, just because, you know, they've been putting together some pretty good game plans lately. And, you know, these guys don't usually lose back-to-back fights over at Fortis. And, you know, I figured, you know, if he wanted to make that easy, he would go in there and take that clown down and just ground and pound him out. It's exactly what he did. Cashed a 1.5 unit bet on that at plus 100. Loved the Kareem Silva Batalio fight not going to decision. Cashed a 1 unit bet on that at plus 130. Hit the Lucas Almeida finish only prop against Trezano, and that hit at plus 140 for 1 unit. Unfortunately, 5 unit max bet that I did not arb out of, which I could have easily arbed out of for a guaranteed profit. Mialides Fakhretdinov fight doesn't go to decision for 5 units. Yikes. Great bet. I'd make it again. I'd make that bet all day because, you know, they're both good finishers, and Mialides has no gas tank whatsoever. So, you know, I'd make that bet again. And then a loss on the Jairzinho Rosenstruik finish only prop at minus 115 for 1.15 units. So it was my worst tracked betting week of the year, despite the fact that the greasy 4-legger came through at plus 942, and the ass shaving of the week came through, and we made some money on those. Unfortunately, that minus 115 bet for 5 units, which I got greedy and didn't arb out of or hedge out of at all, wound up taking me to a minus 1.95 unit. Worst tracked week of the year, but did win a little over 4 units on that greasy 4-legger, which I never tracked those bets. So it was a good week overall. Bad tracked week, but a winning week. We're moving on to the second of 12 straight weeks of UFC cards. So this is going to be a marathon. So we've got to find the best spots, hammer those spots, not get too greedy, not get too over-invested. And this is a tough card from a betting perspective. I'm looking forward to breaking down all these fights with you guys. There are a lot of good fights where I feel like both fighters have paths to victory. And you know, there's a lot of underdogs that are going to be live on this card. So can't wait to chop it up with you guys, break down all 12 of these fights, find some angles, ways to make money, stack those cash tickets like flapjacks, put some butter and syrup on them, you know, and just enjoy ourselves as we beat these bookies with a bag of oranges until we juice them. So let's go, you guys. Let's see who's in here in the chat with us. I saw that the first one in here was my guy F. Carrillo, but that is not showing up there right now. But then right after that, my guy Brandon 9801 saying, "Oi, yes." What's going on, Brandon? We got Jesse saying, "Oi." We got Daz Files saying, "Oi, roll it up." MMA Code saying, "Oi." That's an even longer one. Got my pen and paper. Let's work. Papa Chuck saying, "Heat up the griddle. Grab your glasses. It's time for breakfast, baby. Bacon, flapjacks, OJ all around. Let's go, Papa Chuck." The Dab Father saying, "What's up, fellas?" We got my guy Victor De Jesus in here saying, "Oi, yes." Time for my favorite show on YouTube. What's up, Weezy? Hope you're doing well. Let's make that money this weekend. I appreciate you, Victor. Always good to see you in here, brother. We got David Milk saying, "Money time. I wish the Weili versus Joanna was a 5-rounder again, but awesome card." Yeah. And this card would have been even better. We lost Robert Whitaker versus Marvin Vittori. I'm not sure which one of them got hurt, but that would have been the fourth fight. It would have been, Whitaker Vittori, then Joanna Zhang, and then it would have been probably Bontorin Kape kicking off the pay-per-view, but we lost Whitaker Vittori because one of them had to pull out. That's a shame, but it is an awesome card, David. Good to see you in here. We got Mushroom in the room saying, "Oi, Uncle Weezy in chat, orange bag beatings, ass shavings, flapjacks, palomas, and violence. True sophistication." You got that right, man. You had me laughing my ass off last night, Mushroom, during the Balls Deep breakdown. And then he's saying, "What's up to Papa Chuck and Daz Files?" And Lou Betcha, my guy in the room, saying, "Liang plus Maheshate equals..." Oh, what's up, Lou? We got Equity Sports Analytics saying, "What's up, Uncle Weezy? Let's put in the early work and smash these bookies this Saturday. Let's beat them with a bag of oranges." Equity Sports Analytics. Let's get it going, man. Kyle Kelly saying, "Let's everyone get their butter and syrup ready for Saturday because we're all going to be stacking winning tickets and DraftKings lineups like flapjacks." We appreciate you, Kyle. We're going to be doing that for sure. And ring a ding ding, you guys. We got my guy Victor DeJesus saying, "Just a little thank you for the juicy, greasy 4-leg parlay last week. I was able to cash that ticket with a smile for sure. Your hard work and dedication are really appreciated, and I appreciate you as always." First donation of the night from my guy Victor DeJesus, who's always out here supporting the show. We appreciate you, man, and I'm glad that we cashed that plus 942 greasy 4-legger from last Tuesday night. I've got another one teed up, but there's a lot of props out there missing. So I'm going to give you something that I just bet with a little bit of milk money this week, but I'm probably going to put out something a little more official as some of these other lines start to come out, because there's a lot of stuff missing right now, and there are fights that I want to bet. So anyway, we're hoping to cash 3 out of the last 4 of these greasy 4-leggers if we can come through again this week. And I appreciate you, Victor, for that donation, man. Helping keep the lights on here in Uncle Weezy's little studio. We got my guy Premtro saying, "Oi, what's up, Premtro? Good to see you here." EB saying, "Where's my uncle?" There he is. And then we got my guy DFS by the numbers in the house saying, "Let's go. What's up, G?" We got Papa Chuck saying, "Mushroom. Yo, dude." We got Tristan Sherhouse in the room saying, "Let's go, Weezy." The Cuban Assassin saying, "Weezy, Wheeze. Let's get that cheddar. If this Joanna versus Weili fight ends up like that Nami Yunus versus Esparza, I quit and I'll put my application in at the Brendan Shaw Comedy MMA class." Man, people ripping Brendan for his comedy. It's got to be hard to do stand-up comedy, man. And I think he kind of got rushed into it because he's buddies with Rogan. And Rogan's been doing stand-up comedy forever, and I think he thinks that Brendan is really funny, but I guess stand-up comedy is an art, and it takes time to master, and it's gonna take time for Brendan, but that's all right, man. I like Brendan Schaub. Dude's a legit former UFC heavyweight who's got some wins, so I like him, but I appreciate you, Cuban Assassin. It's good to see you and your brother. Travis M saying, "Let's get it." Oi, what's up, Travis? Good to see you, man. The DFS Whisperer saying, "Oi, what's up, Uncle Weezy?" And we got Mushroom saying, "What's up to Papa Chuck?" Uncertainty saying, "I've been waiting for Uncle Weezy's deep dive breakdown all day today." Well, we're rocking. We're live. We're ready to go. And Dope Space Cowboy saying, "I cashed so much on Karine Silva and Menafield. Nice work." And that Karina Silva fight didn't go to decision. The key of the 4-leg greasy parlay that helped us get that thing up to plus 942 because it was plus 130. That's where I bet it, and then it was plus 120 when I put it in the parlay. Jeff K saying, "I'm finally up for one. Not for long, but I fear, though." Yeah, a lot of people can't make it through just the tip. It's late for the working folks that got to get up at the crack of dawn. I am not one of those people. I do not wake up early in the morning, so I like to get it going here until midnight Central Time. We got Sloppy Second saying, "Weezy the Wizard." We got Andy MG saying, "Oi." And we got, let's see here. Oh boy, oh my God, you guys are absolutely killing it in the chat. B saying, just drop it in to say oi, probably. We got Adam Rush saying, "Oi, let's go." And we've got Jay Rich saying, "What's up, Unk?" B with the big oi. And we got Charlie Green saying, thanks, T.O. Weezy, stacking more pesos every week. Let's get it, Charlie. Let's go. DJ saying, we putting Valentina on every parlay, right, fellas? Worked out great for me last time with Nunez. Yeah, that one didn't work out. And we got Mushroom saying 11 more weeks in a row of ass shavings and violence. Yes, sir. And Shar gives us the oi. And we've got Dan saying, let's give that bookies an ass shaving and a good dose of violent vitamin C, boys. Let's go. EB saying, let's juice them. I'm going to grape the bookies, baby. Let's go. We are all saying, oi, that damn right. Go Flamingo. My guy in here, ring a ding ding with a $20 donation saying, Carolina Kolba. Carolina Kovalkiewicz paid for this tip, up 30 units for the month. Damn, dude. That is a absolutely huge month. Go Flamingo, helping keep the lights on here in the studio. I appreciate you, brother. And man, I love hearing people that watching the shows having monster months, like up 30 units for the month. And I said I was going to beat everybody with a bag of oranges that bet on Carolina and Felice Herrig because I didn't care who won the fight. But thank you for tipping me with money and making me look like a fool by cashing on Carolina Kovalkiewicz. Way to go, Flamingo. Thank you for supporting the show. I really appreciate you. Bailey saying, you're the GOAT. I appreciate you, Bailey. Immaculate One saying, I stayed up late for this. Let's go. Let's go. A stubborn Mick in the room saying, Asker Mozarov lost another win. Yes, he did. And B saying, drop that cash on Weezy. Appreciate you, B. Justin Villegas with those flapjacks. And we got my guy Jesse, ring a ding ding, with a donation here for his Uncle Weezy, saying, thank you, Weezy, for the greasy four-legger. And your reads on Trash Car and Karine Silva were spot on, and I smashed them both. Nice, man. I love hearing that these tickets are cashing for you guys and that Just the Tip is helping us stack those cash tickets like flapjacks and start to beat these bookies with a bag of oranges until we juice them. Let's go, Jesse. Thank you so much for the donation. We got Dan Hamilton saying, can't bet those parlays here in B-Town. Oh, that's a bummer, man. Boston. Man, well, they'll let you get it going soon enough, man. We just got to pay off those politicians, and then they'll let you. And then we got Andy MG, ring a ding ding with the donation with $10 saying, Weezy, thank you for that ass shave last week. A small token of my gratitude, sir. I really appreciate your gratitude, man. I really appreciate you supporting the show, Andy MG. We got B saying, make it rain on Weezy. Andy MG saying, the hardest working man in MMA. The fighters work 10 times harder than me. It's and then it goes, I believe, DFS by the numbers, the hardest working man in YouTube MMA, and then I'm in there somewhere after him, man. We got Weezy Nation in the house. Keep dropping tips for the tip. We got Bailey with the heart. We got B saying you got to be happy with your followers. We are all happy with you. Keep on keeping on. Absolutely. Cam L saying, what's up, Weezy? Do you have confident spots on this pay-per-view? There are a couple of spots, and I will go over them. And definitely on the pay-per-view, I've got 3 of my 4 legs on the greasy four-legger are going to be on that pay-per-view. So there are some spots that I like. They're a little bit wider than what I'm normally putting in the parlays, but still found 4 legs that could get us above plus 900 this week. And Jorge Montero saying, can you please use the robe every time? It's something I save for Tuesday nights in Just the Tip, the sensual prelude to the Balls Deep breakdown. So I dress as sexy as possible with my smoking jacket here. So I only do it on Tuesday nights because when you give people too much of a good thing, they start to forget that it's a good thing. But I appreciate you, Jorge. Miles saying, oi. And we got, let's see here, Miles saying DFS the GOAT, Weezy, and GOAT Stat, Diggers Nation, baby, appreciate you. We got SD Crusader, MMA Engine or Die, hell yeah, man. And we got SD Crusader saying, what's up, boys? And Big Timer saying, let's cash my rollers. Let's go, you guys. Let me share my screen with you, see if my co-host, Smooth Jimmy Apollo, is ready to go here. And if he is, I think we can get this screen shared. Let me do this real quick here, you guys. Sorry about this. Share. And there we go. And get that off. And there we go. My absolute horrible monitor setup here is something that has to change soon, and I promise to do that soon. We got Stubborn Mix in. Nobody works harder in MMA than Mark Smith, Mike Beltran, Sal D'Amato, and Chris Lee at ruining your pockets. I'll tell you, man, it's somewhat true. And Lou Lamb, welcome, Lou Lamb. First time here, Uncle Weezy. I appreciate you, Lou. Thanks for swinging through, man. And let's get down to breaking down these 12 fights. We are going to break these down from a statistical and tape study perspective. In the description of this video is the link to all the stats that we're going to be looking at here. You can download them for free and use them to help make your gambling decisions. I've got all 12 fights in here. That's Teixeira, Prochazka, Shevchenko, Santos, and I've got the matchup stats for you guys for all 12 of these fights and the advanced stats and complete fighter histories for all 24 fighters on the card. You get to see their complete UFC histories here, for and against, in striking, grappling, DraftKings, FanDuel, and all the other good stuff. So help, you can download this for free in the description of the video. Use it to make your decisions throughout the week. A lot of good info in there, and it's all free. And then you can also check out Stat Diggers. You can check out the main event breakdown that DFS by the Numbers and I did on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. And you can also check out the Balls Deep breakdown that I did on the Kyung, Ho-Kang, Danaa, Batgerel fight last night on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. And if you guys have not subscribed to the MMA Engine YouTube channel yet, please go do that. We're giving you a bunch of great content on that channel. So let me get Awesemo here in the room saying, what's up? What's up, Awesemo? Good to see you in here. And Lou Lamb saying, Jesse recommended. Nice, man. I appreciate you that. And let's see here. So for the banners, we've got the kickoff fight here. Joselyne Edwards versus Ramona Pascual. This one's going to be at 145 pounds. This is Joselyne Edwards making her 145-pound debut here in the UFC. And if we can see right here, Joselyne Edwards, 7 years younger, an inch taller with a 4-inch reach advantage. So even though Pascual has been the one that's been fighting at 145 more, it's actually going to be Joselyne Edwards who's the bigger woman here, and 7 years younger. So we definitely like the tail of the tape advantage here for Joselyne Edwards. In addition to that, she's the more experienced mixed martial artist. She has 5 more fights than Ramona, about 55 more minutes in the pro cage, and she's been doing this about 1 year and 3 months longer as a professional. Also, 2 more UFC level fights and 30 more minutes in the UFC cage. So we've got a nice tail of the tape and experience advantage here at the pro and UFC level for Joselyne. And then when we look at the finish stats here, both of these ladies are finishing a lot of fights. Joselyne Edwards, 8 of her 10 wins have come inside the distance. And for Ramona Pascual, it is 83% of her 6 wins. So 5 of 6 wins inside the distance for Pascual. 4 of them by knockout, 1 by submission. And for Joselyne Edwards, it's 3 by submission, 5 by knockout. Pascual has been finished in 2 of her 3 losses, and Joselyne Edwards only finished in 1 of her 4 losses, and it was by submission. So when we look at the UFC stats for these 2 ladies, we don't have much of a sample size for Pascual. Pascual got knocked around by Joe Benavidez in her debut. Really took a lot of heavy shots from Joe, and there's no shame in losing to Joe. This dude hits hard and has got a ton of power for that weight class. So she was knocked down twice in that fight, landed 3.47 significant strikes per minute and absorbed 6.53, and was out-volumed almost 2-1. And Joselyne is doing good on the feet, outlanding her opponents by about 0.5 significant strikes per minute, out-voluming them by 1 significant strike attempt per minute. She's never landed a knockdown, as has Ramona, has never landed one. And she's never been knocked down, but a 45% striking defense is not very good. That being said, a lot of her fights have taken place on the ground. So Pascual is going to be looking to take advantage of the biggest hole in Joselyne Edwards' game. And thus far in the UFC, that's been her takedown defense and her ability to get back up after she's taken down. We can see here that Joselyne's been taken down 10 times in 3 fights. And she spent over 59% of her 45 minutes of cage time being controlled on the cage and on the mat. So less than 50% takedown defense. She's allowing 3.3 takedowns per 15 minutes and getting controlled 60% of the time. So this is going to be Ramona Pascual's path to victory, in my opinion, because Joselyne Edwards is a very good Muay Thai striker. She should be able to win those minutes on the feet. When you look at Ramona, you could tell she's still very raw. She's inexperienced. She was training in Hong Kong up until before the last fight against Benavidez. So right now, I think Ramona is going to be pretty much not better than Joselyne anywhere except for in the grappling and getting on top. If she can get on top and avoid the arm bars and triangles that Joselyne Edwards will throw up, she can win minutes down there. But the wrestling isn't great. Joselyne Nunez not known for someone as great takedown defense. So I think that Ramona is going to have a little bit harder time getting Joselyne Edwards down. But still, if she can get her down, that's going to be her path to win minutes in this fight. We've seen Joselyne Edwards get controlled by Jessica Rose Clark and Carol Hossa, who are both good. Carol Hossa is a better grappler. Jessica Rose Clark is a really good wrestler. I don't know if Ramona Pascual is a great wrestler or a grappler. I do know that because she's a big girl, she's heavy on top, and she does her best work when she's taking down her opponents. And we've seen her have some success in the striking exchanges too, but not against UFC level competition. Certainly not against somebody with the Muay Thai skills of Joselyne Edwards. So I feel like Ramona Pascual is going to be dependent on the grappling in order to win minutes here and potentially win this fight. But I think Joselyne Edwards being bigger, being younger, being longer, being more experienced, and being the better striker, having fought the better brand of competition is all going to be huge here. So, and Joselyne Edwards and Ramona Pascual both now training in the United States. So they're both making that trip over there to Singapore, which is a long ass flight. So they're both going to have a little bit of a disadvantage there. I don't know if either of them are there yet. I'm assuming that they are. They certainly should be. But I have to pick Joselyne Edwards here because I don't know if I can have faith in Ramona Pascual's wrestling and ability to be able to win enough minutes out of this fight on the ground in order to think that she can make up for the experience discrepancy, for the size discrepancy, for the conditioning discrepancy, and for the striking discrepancy and strength of schedule discrepance. Having fought Carol Hossa and Jessica Rose Clark, these are better than all of the opponents in Ramona Pascual's career. So Woo Jin, Yulia Kutsenko, Guadalupe Guzman, Shamir Peshewa, and Joselyne Nunez, otherwise known as Joe Benavidez. So, yeah, I've got to pick Joselyne Edwards, and I'm going to pick her to win this one by decision. The next fight, you guys, what a banger here. We got the only female fighter that my guy DFS by the numbers simps for here. The Dragon Girl Liang, 25 years old, squaring off against the 37-year-old Silvana Gomez Juarez, who is fighting out of Entrum Gym. She is originally from Argentina. Na Liang out of China, out of the Longyun MMA Gym. So we see that Na Liang here is going to be a plus 135 dog. Silvana Gomez Juarez, the favorite, at minus 155. The fight doesn't go to decision right now for a women's strawweight fight, sitting at minus 260. I am not lying about that. Minus 260 for a division that finishes around 30% of 3-round fights. That is how much fun this fight is going to be. We simply don't see fights in this division ever getting up to a minus 260 for fight doesn't go to decision. This one could be a record though. And here's why. Na Liang, 18 fights to Gomez Juarez is 14. So even though Na Liang has 4 more fights than Gomez Juarez, it's Gomez Juarez who has about 65 more minutes of pro experience in the cage. And that's because her average fight time is almost 10 minutes, but for Na Liang, it's only 3.69 minutes. We've got a 12-year career for Silvana Gomez, and a 6-year career for Na Liang. So even though Na Liang has more fights, it's Gomez who has more minutes, about 6 more years as a pro, 1 more UFC level fight, and about a few more seconds in the UFC cage. They're both great finishers. Na Liang with a 12 out of 13 finish rate in her 18 wins. It's showed here it's 85%. That is not correct. It is actually 92% finish rate. And Gomez Juarez with an 80% finish rate. And we see here in the losses that Na Liang has been finished in 4 of her 5 losses. Actually, so you know what? Na Liang has a 100% finish rate. That's my bad. 100% finish rate. There are submissions, 54%, knockouts, 31%, and the other 15% are disqualifications that would be also classified as knockouts, I take it. So I think it's 46% knockout, 54% sub, and she's been finished in 4 of her 5 losses. And Gomez Juarez has been finished in 3 of her 4 losses. She's been subbed twice, and in both of her losses in the UFC, she's been subbed. Armbar by Lupi Godinez, armbar by Vanessa Demopoulos, and what is Na Liang's favorite sub? The armbar. We don't have much in the way of a sample size here, but we do see that Na Liang absorbs more than she lands. Silvana Gomez also absorbs more than she lands. 25% striking defense for Na Liang, 40% striking defense for Gomez Juarez. We've got 100% finish rate for Na, 80% finish rate in wins for Gomez Juarez. In their 9 combined losses, 7 of them have been inside the distance. Both of these ladies block punches with their face. This is setting up for absolute violence. And Silvana Gomez Juarez has only landed 13 significant strikes in the UFC, but one of them resulted in a knockdown. So while this fight is on the feet, Gomez Juarez is going to be very dangerous with her kickboxing. And while this fight is on the ground, Na Liang is going to be spamming takedowns while it's on the feet to get it to the ground. And once it's there, she's going to be just absolutely spamming submission attempts. 2.32 submission attempts for 15 minutes, 6.96 takedowns for 15 minutes, 4 takedowns in a fight that barely went 6 minutes, and 83.5% of that debut fight of Na Liang took place in control time positions for and against. So, even though Silvana Gomez Juarez is the favorite here, I just don't see her being able to keep this fight standing long enough in order to be dangerous, because while this fight is on the ground, Gomez Juarez is going to be at a huge discrepancy here in grappling ability. And then not only that, Gomez Juarez in her 2 fights, almost 18% control time for, 51% control time against. So, she's spending almost 70% of her 2 fights in control time positions for or against, which is a red flag for a striker. You want to see strikers out there, keeping the fight standing, because that's where they're most comfortable and that's where they do the most damage. So this thing is setting up, in my opinion, for Na Liang to win it. But Na Liang's gas tank is horrible. And I mean, her conditioning might actually be okay, but it's just her fighting style. She's like a tornado out there. She fights like she's double parked. She will shoot a takedown less than 5 seconds into every single fight, and she will just go. She has no pacing, no ability to be able to conserve her gas tank or find places to rest. It's just not the way that she fights. She fights with a nervous energy. She fights as if she needs to finish the fight right now. And everything that you see on tape is indicative of that. So I think Na is going to have success just getting this fight to the ground immediately. And once she does, I think that if Silvana cannot survive those first 5 minutes, she's not going to lose. She's not going to win the fight because Na is hell unleashed for 5 minutes. And then she's probably, if the fight goes the first round, she's probably going to need to be carried to her corner by her cornermen. So the fight doesn't go to decision. The under 1.5 for this fight. I have a tracked bet on this fight, 3.4 units. on the under 2.5, which I was able to snipe at minus 170. Has been a fight that I mean, that's one I really hit heavily this week. I love violence in this spot. It's one of the spots that I've been looking forward to the longest, because these are all action finishing fighters who get finished when they win, who get finished when they lose, and finish fights when they win. So I'm looking for violence here. I'm looking for this fight to easily finish under 2.5. And I'm looking for Liang to win by first round submission, everybody. Let me see here something. Let's see. Yeah, DFS by the numbers saying Liang is the strawweight version of Terrence McKinney. Much less handsome, though. Well, that's for sure. There's no question about that. And my guy Nick in here saying, all right, Uncle Weezy time. Awesome. I thought I was going to miss it. Damn right, Nick. You have not missed it. And we got Low T City Ortega saying, big bet on Jerry Glover under 2.5 for myself. Cheers. Appreciate the donation, my man, Low T City. We got Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. Got to check him out with Luca Fury last night on Pub Sports Radio. Great show. Always good to see you in here, Clint, brother. Let me see here. Just make sure I'm not missing anything else. Oh, my God, Mr. Jingles with a donation, $19.99. Ring-a-ding-ding, Mr. Jingles. Thank you for helping keep the lights on here in the studio. Not even a message with it. Just, oh, no, wait, we got one right down here. Let's get the greasy four-legger again this week. I appreciate you, man. I got to hit more of these greasy four-leggers the way you guys are donating to me when I do hit them, man. And my guy Miles here, I believe we are, oh, yeah, we did not see this. Miles saying, Weezy, let's go, my poppy, $20 donation, like ring a ding, ding, ding. My God, you guys are the best. Thank you for supporting the show. It means so much. But let's keep going here. Let's Prince of Mischief saying, what rating do you give her haircut? Her haircut's excellent. Excellent. I would say the Yan Kui Hee haircut is a 10 out of 10. And let me just get that one up for you guys. Yan Kui Hee. I mean, of course, it's already in my search history because I search her pictures when I'm not like actually watching tape. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. But I mean, you look at that haircut right there, you guys. I don't know how it gets any better than that. You know, let's just get it up there on the screen, nice and big. Oh, wait, no, we went too far. It is that picture. I mean, look at that. It's a head like a vending machine. It looks like a Lego haircut. Somebody was saying that, where it's just angled down in that 45-degree angle. You know, face like a frying pan. That's the best haircut. But after that, I think Liang and the old Virna Jandiroba haircut, man, those were ones you could just set your watch to. But yeah, we're getting off track here, you guys. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so we're going to hide the current comment, get the screen back up here, and move on to the next fight, which is going to be, yes, Ho-Kang against Danaa Batgerel. And the lines right here, now this is the best line we can find on Batgerel right now, is minus 131. That all these lines are on Bet Online, by the way. Ho-Kang plus 111. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 145. So in the description of this video is a link to a balls deep breakdown on this fight that I did on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. We went balls deep into all the stats and tape study notes. I'm going to give you a more abridged version of that here. But if you want a deeper look into this fight, make sure you watch that balls deep breakdown on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. So Danaa, 2 years younger, but it's Ho-Kang who's bigger. He's got 2 inches of height and about 3 inches of reach. 14 more professional fights for Ho-Kang and about 105 more minutes in the pro cage. And about almost 4 more years, or almost 5 more years as a pro mixed martial artist, 5 more UFC level fights, and 100 more minutes in the UFC cage. So even though Kyung is 2 years older, he's got the size advantage, the reach advantage, the pro experience advantage, and the UFC experience advantage. Both of these guys are great finishers. Danaa, 80%. 77% for Ho-Kang. Ho-Kang is very durable. He's only been finished in 2 of his 9 losses. and he's never been finished at the UFC level. While Batgerel has been knocked out once in his 3 losses, it was the last fight against Gutierrez when he got knocked out with a spinning back elbow. Vicious knockout, great shot, but I actually kind of think that Danaa might have recovered had the ref given him a couple more seconds, but that was a great shot by Gutierrez there. Danaa did not see it coming. So the striking numbers here, we can see that Ho-Kang lands about 2.56 per minute, absorbs 2.36. Good striking defense numbers here at 57.72%. And he's showing some power. He's landed 3 knockdowns in 10 UFC fights, but Danaa Batgerel has landed 3 knockdowns in 5 UFC fights. So he's landed knockdowns in half the time that Ho-Kang has. 37.18% striking accuracy, just under 2% knockdowns for total significant strikes landed, and he's averaging 1.58 knockdowns per 15 minutes. So a lot of power for Danaa Batgerel. Also very important to note that in Danaa Batgerel's 5 UFC fights, he's 3-0 when he has a knockdown, and he's 0-2 when he doesn't. So we haven't seen Danaa Batgerel be able to win a UFC fight yet without landing that big shot. So, but we have seen that he is winning minutes on the feet here, landing 5.66, only absorbing 3.45, and the volume advantage, throwing 15.23 significant strike attempts per minute, and his opponents are only throwing just under 8. So big volume, big striking ratios there for Danaa Batgerel, big power on the feet. But where he's a little bit deficient and where Ho-Kang really does his best work is in the grappling exchanges here, and we see that. 10 UFC fights for Ho-Kang, 32 takedown attempts. He's getting those takedowns at almost a 60% clip. That is excellent, you guys. 2.23 takedowns for 15 minutes, just under a submission attempt for 15 minutes, and he does have 3 wins by submission at the UFC level, and he's out-controlling his opponents 42% to 23%. So he's been very he's been efficient in the grappling exchanges, as he's attempted 32 takedowns and his opponents have attempted 29, but he's out controlling his opponents at almost a 2-to-1 ratio. So that's pretty good. So, 69% takedown defense, but that takedown defense is not going to be tested here because Danaa has only attempted 2 takedowns in 5 UFC fights. He's gotten 1 of them, and he's getting less than 2.5% control time in 28 and a half minutes in the UFC cage. So Danaa prefers to keep the fight standing and to box, and that's where he does his best work. He throws more volume, he lands more significant strikes than he absorbs, and he's got a ton of power. But Batgerel has not really been tested with the grappling yet. All 7 of the takedown attempts that he's faced came in the 3rd round of his debut fight against Haley Alatang, which means that 2, 3, 4, 5, in the other 7 rounds, he's never even seen a takedown attempt. He's going to see takedown attempts here from Ho-Kang. If we look at Ho-Kang's stats, and I'll just show you this real quick here, you guys. So I have to go down. Ho-Kang attempts takedowns in every single fight, and quite a few of them too. So we can expect that Danaa's wrestling defense is going to be tested, and tested like we've never seen it tested before at the UFC level. So this is Ho-Kang's takedown attempts in his fights, right? Against Rani Yahya, he did not attempt any takedowns, and why would you? Rani Yahya is a wizard on the ground. But 7, 6, 1, 2, 2, 0, 2, 3, 9. And he's getting takedowns. 5 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, 1, 1, 1, 3, 3. So he's always working with the grappling. The only fights that he didn't were the Yahya fight and the split decision win over Michinori Tanaka, who's another good grappler. So we can expect him to go for takedowns. And if you look at these control time numbers, he got out-controlled by Rani Yahya, but otherwise he's dominating these control time exchanges here, usually out-controlling his opponents by a good margin. So that's, I think, how he's going to look to win this fight. And we really don't know what Batgerel's takedown defense and grappling defense, how it's going to hold up against somebody like Kyung Ho-Kang. So that's why this fight is lined so closely right now. But Danaa Batgerel has real power in his hands. And what really worries me about Kyung Ho-Kang is the fact that he's been willing to exchange with guys who have been thrown bombs before. And I've seen him get clipped by Guido Canetti. I've seen him get clipped by Teruto Ishihara. But against Ping Wang Liu here, he gets 753 seconds of control time out of 900. So it seemed like he might have learned his lesson when he fought Davis here and when he fought Liu, as he's went and got 380 seconds of control time, 753. So that's over 1,100 seconds of control time out of 1,800. And just some interesting stats here. Let's see. In Danaa's 3 wins, his opponents have never attempted a takedown. So he's 3-0, and in those fights, his opponents haven't grappled at all. That's not going to be the case here with Kyung Ho-Kang. He's got power in both hands, does Danaa. Knocked out Natividad and Canetti with his left hand and knocked out the other guy with the right. And that was Brandon Davis, who had never been finished before. And Brandon Davis got knocked out while Brandon Davis against Kyung Ho-Kang took him to a decision win, and it was a split decision win. So the MMA math favors Danaa Batgerel because he quickly disposed of Brandon Davis. And for Kang, 7 of his 10 UFC fights have been a decision, 5 of them split decisions. So he's in a lot of close fights. He's never beaten an opponent in the UFC with a winning UFC record. And neither has Danaa Batgerel. Both of these guys are beating only guys with losing records in the UFC. And Kang has been 10 of 18 on his takedowns when he wins. And when he wins, he's out-controlling his opponents 50.8% to 14.6%. So when Kang is at his best, he's winning those control time battles and winning the grappling exchanges. When Batgerel is at his best, he's landing big shots with big power, and his opponents aren't grappling at all. So this is a very, very difficult fight to call. But Kang's willingness to stand just a little bit too long has me just leaning Danaa Batgerel. And I'm not even going to pick whether he wins inside the distance or by decision, because Kyung Ho-Kang has been so durable. But that didn't matter because Brandon Davis was durable before Batgerel started landing those bees on him, and then we saw him get dropped. So it's hard to say that I think that Kang can last the full 15 here with Danaa Batgerel. So I'm going to be looking for Batgerel to win and maybe even do it by knockout here, but I am not confident about it because I think that this is a very close fight. And I think that Kang has a clear path to victory by making this a grappling-based fight and by going to the wrestling early and often. Next fight, though. This one is a little bit easier to break down, I would say. Andre Fialho against Jake Matthews. So Fialho is a minus 150 favorite. Matthews plus 130. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 155. Jake Matthews, 1 year younger. But it's Fialho who's an inch taller and who has a 1 inch reach advantage. So the tail of the tape, very close. The experience, very close. 22 fights for Matthews, 21 for Fialho. But a lot more minutes in the cage for Matthews because he's in longer fights. Fialho's average fight time over 21 pro fights is only 5.83 minutes. So he's definitely finishing fights inside the distance a lot. But Matthews, with just a slight experience advantage here, about a year, 2 more years as a pro, 100 more minutes in the cage, and 12 more UFC level fights and 150 more minutes in the UFC cage. But it's Fialho who's a much better finisher here. 87% of his 16 wins inside the distance by knockout. For Jake Matthews, it's a 65% finish rate in 17 wins, and he's finished 5 of his 10 UFC wins inside the distance. Matthews has also been finished a ton. 4 of his 5 career losses inside the distance, all of them in the UFC, 3 of them by submission. Only once has he been knocked out. And Andre Fialho has been knocked out in 2 of his 4 pro losses, but never at the UFC level. We see Fialho blocking punches with his face out there. 4.23 landed, 6.75 absorbed. That's huge. He's also throwing a lot less volume than his opponents. 9.67 landed, but 13.09 coming back his way. So he's getting out volumed at like a 1.5 to 1 ratio. He's getting outlanded at like a 1.5 to 1 ratio. But you know how you erase all of that? By landing big shots. And Andre Fialho has 3 UFC fights and he has 2 knockdowns. And in the fights where he's gotten knockdowns, he's won. So even though Fialho blocks punches with his face, even though he has bad conditioning, even though he's not much of a grappler, he does have that power, and he is the epitome of what you say the fighter, that the less skilled fighter overall that has that power, the power to be able to change the fight like that and take a fight that he's losing up until he wins it. And that is the kind of fighter that Fialho is. Now, Jake Matthews has been at this level for a very long time. 15 of his 22 pro fights have been at the UFC level. And this guy was on the Ultimate Fighter, living up in Canada, in the Australia versus Canada version of the Ultimate Fighter. He was 19 years old when he was in the house. So this guy's been around. He's got a couple of good wins. Johnny Case in the UFC, a win over Liang. But then the rest of the wins are a little bit suspect. But Jake is landing 3.03 significant strikes per minute, only absorbing 2.16, showing a 62% striking defense, throws more volume than his opponents, and he's showing some power too. He's got 4 knockdowns in 15 fights, and he's only been knocked down once in 15 fights. So Jake has been durable in terms of not getting knocked out. He's gotten subbed a lot. He's only been knocked down once, like I say, in 15 UFC fights. And he's a good minute winner on the feet as well, which is something that Fialho isn't. We saw Cameron Van Camp piecing this dude up. And the gas tank isn't great for Fialho, but he does do what guys with power should do, and that's walk forward, march you down, and look to land the big shot. And he's got a good enough chin to walk through some of your shots to land that one big shot that he needs to land. Fialho not attempting any takedowns in 3 fights. But look at Matthews, 53 takedown attempts in 15 fights. He's gotten 22 of them. That's over 40% takedown accuracy. That's good. 1.93 takedowns for 15 minutes, out-controlling his opponents 30% to 16%. So that looks good, right? Out-controlling your opponents at like a 2-to-1 ratio. But he's out-takedowning, attempting his opponents at like a 3-to-1 ratio, and out-takedowning his opponents at about like a 3.5-to-1 ratio. So Jake is not what I would call a guy that is the archetype of guy that is going to be able to win a ton of minutes on the ground when he's not the better striker. He can get his opponents down, but he's not great at holding them there. And but he does have 4 submission wins in the UFC, so he can win moments on the ground, just like Andre Fialho can win moments on the feet. But not only can Matthews win those moments on the ground, but he can win minutes on the feet as well. If he can avoid the big shot from Fialho, if he can outbox him, if he can move and deal with Fialho's pressure on the feet, move laterally, use the jab, box him up, land more than he absorbs. I think that this is a decent underdog spot here for Jake Matthews. Fialho coming halfway across the world to go to Singapore. It's a very short flight for Jake Matthews. He tends to fight at his best when he's around the South Pacific region, which is where he's from. When we look at the strength of schedule numbers here, Fialho with the better ratio, Jake Matthews fighting the more experienced opponents. The wins are a little bit better in the ratio for Fialho, but obviously Jake fighting the more experienced opponents as well. And like the better ratio everywhere for Fialho, the more experienced opponents for Jake Matthews. So Jake Matthews is probably going to be the better wrestler and grappler here. He's more experienced. Fialho is going to be the more powerful striker, but I think that Jake Matthews can win minutes on the feet. with his striking as well, just by being defensively responsible and throwing more volume than Fialho and being more accurate than Fialho. So this is a fight where I kind of prefer the plus money here, but I don't think that I'm going to be investing in this fight. In terms of the time props, the fight doesn't go to decision at minus 155. Jake primarily gets finished by submission, and Andre Fialho primarily gets finished by knockout. And Jake not knocking people out at the UFC level, and Andre Fialho not really submitting anybody. So I could see this one going to decision, and fight goes to decision at plus money. Might be something I take a little bit of a look at here. Let's take a quick look at it on the prop template. Not supposed to show you this to you guys until Thursday night for probability, 7 o'clock Central Time on the MMA Engine YouTube channel, you guys. But right here, we can see that at the UFC level, 11 of their 18 combined fights have finished inside the distance at 61.1%. That means that this line at fight doesn't go at minus 160 is priced perfectly. Fight goes to decision at plus 130. We got 51% of welterweight fights go to decision. We're only paying 43% here, so that's pretty good. And the goes to decision number 7 of 18 for these guys have went. That's only 38.9%. Yeah, I'll probably stay away from the time props here. But for some reason, I'm liking that plus money on the fight goes. And I think that it's a decent matchup. But 6 of their 9 combined losses are inside the distance. And that always a little bit makes me a little bit nervous when I'm betting a fight goes. But anyway, next fight. Very interesting one here between Steve Garcia and Maheshate. So Maheshate is a guy that you cannot really find any tape on. There is the Contender Series fight against Achilles Estremadura, and then there's a fight of him fighting in Russia, Fight Nights Global, I believe, or maybe it was M1, but he got drowned by a wrestler. So Maheshate is much younger. He is 7 years younger than Steve Garcia, only 23 years old for Maheshate. These guys are the same height. Steve Garcia is going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's a southpaw. Out of Jackson Wink, it's Enbo Fight Club from Maheshate, China against the United States. So Garcia, 9 more professional fights, 80 more minutes in the pro cage, and 6 more years as a pro. So, you know, he's going to be, I think, even though Maheshate is younger, I think it's an advantage to be 30 instead of 23, especially at this level. So I like the tail of the tape here for Garcia with the 4-inch reach advantage, the fact that he's a southpaw, the fact that he's more experienced, got 9 more fights, 80 more minutes in the cage, 6 more years as a pro, and 11 more minutes in the UFC cage. Finish rates. Both of these guys are only knocking people out. Neither one of these guys are great grapplers. Garcia with a 75% finish rate in his 12 wins, 9 of his 12 pro wins inside the distance by knockout. For Maheshate, it's 3 of 6 by knockout. Maheshate never been finished, and Garcia only finished in 1 of 4 losses, and it was by submission. So it's important to note that neither one of these guys has ever been knocked out, but that is only 7 pro fights for Maheshate, and a lot of those guys not really top-level opponents because we can't even find the tape on it. So at the UFC level, Maheshate in his win over Achilles Estremadura threw a lot more volume, 11.07 to 7.4, and landed 3.27 to 3.2. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat in that fight, though. Less than 30% striking accuracy, 56% striking defense. Now, Garcia doing really good in the striking numbers here. Doubling up the volume on his opponents, almost doubling up landing on his opponents, lands 4.12, absorbs 2.12, throws 7.3, only absorbs 3.75, about a 56.5% striking accuracy. He's got a knockdown, and he's been knocked down, I think that's twice in 56 significant strikes landed. That was both were by Ontiveros. He's allowing 1.13 knockdowns for 15 minutes and only showing 43% striking defense. Not very good. Maheshate is not going to grapple. Garcia might, though. And it wouldn't be bad if you watch Maheshate's fight against the only Russian guy that he's ever fought. It was his pro debut. The guy's takedown defense isn't good. He is a boxer. He is also a Chinese guy that has the Greco-Roman background, which means absolutely nothing. If you ever watch Hu Yazong fight, his Greco-Roman background while he's getting drowned by everybody that ever grapples him. So Steve Garcia, is very dangerous on the feet. Very powerful left hand. He's hittable, but this is going to be a war when it's on the feet. But if it goes to the ground, Garcia has landed 4 of his 7 takedowns. He's getting out controlled 53.5% to 23%. But he doesn't have to worry about Maheshate taking him down. And Steve Garcia has 100% takedown defense. It's just that he wound up in these control time positions with Pena and wound up getting control for 14 out of the 15 minutes of that fight. So Garcia might go to the wrestling here, and I think it would be a smart thing to do because I think these guys are very closely matched on the feet, but I think that Garcia, having that 6-year experience advantage as a pro mixed martial artist, training at Jackson Wink, making sure that he is a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and we got to see that wrestling and grappling game of Garcia against another pure striker and Ontiveros, and he made it look easy once he got Ontiveros to the ground. And I think he can potentially make this look easy if he gets Maheshate to the ground. So the only thing I don't like about this is that Garcia is going all the way from the United States to Singapore, while it's a much shorter flight from Maheshate. But I like Garcia's grappling. I like the size advantage. I like the fact that he's a southpaw. I like the grappling advantage that Garcia has, having went to takedowns before and showing that he can bust up a pure striker on the ground. I think he can do that to Maheshate like we've seen it done to him before. So I like Garcia in this fight, and I think that he's going to win it by decision. We don't have much in the way of strength of schedule numbers here either, but I think this is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be really fun. 2 good explosive strikers. While this is on the feet, I think it's going to be very exciting. And I think even if Garcia does get it to the ground, he's live for a submission or a ground and pound knockout. I think that that's what Garcia should do if he wants to take the path of least resistance in this fight. And did I see Dan Goldstein saying Billy Briz is in the building? Oh, my God. Boston Nick's in the building. My guy Tone Miggins. Dude, we got the whole Pub Sports crew here in the room hanging out with their Uncle Weezy. Billy Briz. Dude, what's going on, you guys? Jester in the room. We got Boston Nick shouting out Lou. We got Prem Tro. We got Lou Betcha saying Garcia KO round 1. Yeah, man. And then we got Maheshate. Think of the legendary athletes with one name. Pele, Liberace, Maheshate, without question. All legends of our sport. Rest in peace, Liberace, my favorite piano player of all time. Excuse me. Let's move on to the next fight. We've got Seung Woo Choi up against Josh Culibao. And let me get this banner up for you guys. I wish I could see how many live viewers we've gotten here, but my monitor is so bad that I can't see how many live viewers I have. But I've got Uncertainty in the room, XBL on Twitch. We got Kim coming in here saying I'm late, but I made it. What's up, Weezy and fam? We got Dan Goldstein. We got Paul Pierce saying Culibao inside the distance. Wow, that would be an interesting result here because Seung Woo Choi is a big favorite here. Wow, Papa Chuck saying 80 live viewers here on Just the Tip, man. That is amazing. I love it. You guys are the best. You guys are really supporting your Uncle Weezy here, and it's making my heart swell. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for spending your Tuesday night with me here on Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel, doing Just the Tip with me. Oh, my God, look at this. Sharpie went 4-0 today on K-Props, killed it. He's going to probably go out and smash some BBW later on tonight. Big up, Sharpie. Let's see here. Paul Pierce saying, we love you, Weezy. We love you guys, man. Jarno Portilla, Mr. Finland in the room here, man. We appreciate you. Will Confair saying, can anyone find Road to UFC lines on a book? I have not. Well, wait. Let's look. Best fight odds is always the best resource, and we do have Road to UFC lines on Bet Online. We got Pawan Man Singh plus 250 against Ali Murtabek at minus 325. We can go on from there, but yes, those lines for Road to UFC are on Bet Online, everybody. But let's get back to this fight, and let me get this banner. Okay, we got it. Seung Woo Choi minus 230. Culibao plus 195. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 120. All right, so we've got Culibao 1 year younger, but it's Choi with a 2 inches of height and 1 inch of reach. These are both orthodox fighters here. Seung Woo Choi, 3 more professional fights, 10 more minutes in the cage, and about 6 months more as a pro. And he's got 3 more UFC level fights and about 30 more minutes in the UFC cage. So like Seung Woo Choi so far, with the 1 inch of reach, with the 2 inches of height, the 3 more pro fights, 3 more UFC fights, and the additional cage time and time as a pro. So we like that, but there's slight edges. They're very slight. Seung Woo Choi is 60% finisher, all by knockout. Culibao, 56% finisher as a pro, all by knockout. And these guys are getting finished. Culibao has been finished by knockout in his only loss, and Seung Woo Choi has been finished in 3 of 4 losses, twice by submission, once by knockout, and in his 3 UFC losses, he's been submitted twice. So we've got a guy that gets submitted in Choi, and Culibao, who's never submitted anybody as a pro, and we've got a guy who gets knocked out, and Culibao, as his only loss was by knockout, and Seung Woo Choi is a knockout artist. So like the finish upside for Seung Woo Choi more than I do for Culibao here. But Choi is landing 3.38 significant strike per minute, and he's only absorbing 2.91, but throwing a lot more volume than his opponents. 8.43 to his opponents, only throwing 5.12. 40% striking accuracy. He's landed 3 knockdowns in 6 fights, so he's showing a good amount of power, and 0.66 knockdowns for 15 minutes. Not good striking defense, though. 43.14% striking defense is not good enough, but he's never been knocked down, so he's been pretty durable. Culibao absorbing just a little bit more than he lands, and he's throwing just as much of it as his opponents. A little bit more accurate. He's landed a knockdown in 3 fights, so he's shown a little bit of power. That was a great knockdown against that was against Jordan that he landed that knockdown. And defensively, 54.5% striking defense. And then we look at the grappling numbers here. Seung Woo Choi has attempted 7 takedowns in 6 fights. He's gotten 4 of them. He's getting 17% control time for, 34% control time against. His first 2 fights in the UFC were against Movsar Evloev and Gavin Tucker, who both dominated him on the ground. Not surprising at all. But since then, he's cleaned up that takedown defense quite a bit and has looked a lot better. Culibao, 0 for 11 on his takedowns. He's attempted 11. His opponents have attempted 15. He's gotten 0. His opponents have gotten 2. But yet he's been managed to get out-controlled at a 5-to-1 ratio. 7% control time for, 35% control time against. So I favor Seung Woo Choi's striking on the feet. But I think if Culibao can get his grappling game going, he can have some success against Choi. But in reality, even though Choi's been dominated on the ground by Evloev and Tucker, when you look at the aggregate, Choi's actually having a little more success in the grappling than Culibao has. So I like Choi's striking, and just on the grappling numbers, I think that Choi is just as likely to be able to win minutes on the ground as Culibao is. So I think that, I like Choi quite a bit here. But the thing about Culibao is the strength of schedule. Look, he's got a 2 ratio with fighters with 5 total fights. So he's fighting really good competition who are getting 2 wins for every 1 loss, 3.33 wins, 1.67 losses. While Seung Woo Choi is beating guys with winning or fighting guys with winning competition as well. 4.67 wins, 3.17 losses, and a 1.47 win-to-loss ratio in his competition. He's beating winning competition with a 1.14 win-loss ratio in 5 total fights. And when he loses, he's losing to guys that have over 10 UFC total fights and a 1.67 win-to-loss ratio. Better ratio for Culibao, but not as experienced the competition. So Culibao's fights in the UFC against Nurdan Beka, who's a wrestler, Charles Jourdan, who's a great striker, Jalen Turner, who's a great striker, up a weight class against a much bigger man. So that's the only guy that's ever finished Culibao. It was Jalen Turner, and that was up at 155, a fight he took on short notice and probably shouldn't have taken. And we see that Seung Woo's fought, Movsar Evloev, Gavin Tucker, Suman Mokhtarian, Yusuf Zalal, Julian Erosa, and Alex Caceres. So I'm going to have to go with Seung Woo Choi here because I think that the striking for Seung Woo is going to make the difference here. He's just a really clean, really technically sound striker with a ton of power. And I don't see Josh winning enough minutes on the ground to overtake what I think is a big striking advantage here for Seung Woo Choi. So I'm going to pick Seung Woo Choi to win this one, and I'll pick him to win it by decision. Next fight, Brendan Allen against Jacob Malkoun. So we've got Brendan Allen, a big favorite here at minus 305. The comeback plus 255 on Malkoun. The fight doesn't go to decision, was minus 210. All right, so let's see here. Let me go back there. All right. We've got both of these guys are babies, only 26 years old. And let me see here. What is Culibao and Max been working together? Doesn't sway my pick either way. Diehard saying he rolled his ankle. Josh got hurt right before the finish. Oh, was that in the Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that against Turner. There was something weird that happened there. Yeah, that's right. But still, that's a bad matchup against Jalen Turner. I just throw those fights out the window when you're up a weight class on short notice against a guy that who even knows how the hell Jalen Turner makes 156. I have no clue how that guy makes weight, but he does. So let's just talk about those other two fights for him because they're against competition that's in his own weight class. Ring a ding ding, my guy Boston Nick. We stacking cash like flapjacks, baby. Hashtag we be pubbing. Go check out that Pub Sports Radio crew. They are the men over there, and we always have fun doing the watch along every Saturday. Stat Diggers every Sunday. We got the DraftKings show coming up tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time, I believe. Maybe it's 6 o'clock Central Time, but right now we got to worry about this Brendan Allen versus Jacob Malkoun fight. Both of these guys so young, only 26 years old. But it's going to be Brendan Allen, 5-inch height advantage here, a 2-inch reach advantage. They're both orthodox fighters. We got Jacob coming out of PMA Super Martial Arts, Sanford MMA for Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen, 3 times his experience in fights, 4 times his experience in minutes in the cage, a year and 7 more months as a pro, 6 more UFC level fights, and 42 more minutes in the UFC cage. So Brendan Allen, the much bigger guy, the longer guy, the way more experienced guy, fought the higher level of experience, 4 times as much cage time, a year and a half more as a pro, 3 times as many UFC fights, and almost 2.5 times as many minutes in the UFC cage. Jacob Malkoun, not a finisher. He's finished 2 of his 6 wins by knockout. The other 4 have been by decision, while Brendan Allen is bringing an 84% finish rate to his 18 pro wins. And he has finished 5 of his 7 UFC wins inside the distance, 4 by sub, 1 by knockout. Brendan has been finished in 3 of his 5 losses, and Jacob Malkoun has been finished in his only loss. So 4 of their 6 combined losses coming inside the distance. So we've got, and my guy Silky B just drops a donation in here. Between you and Brady, we can't lose. Love you, brother. Silky B, thanks for donating to the show. Appreciate you so much, my man. Ring a ding ding. Keeping the lights on here in the office, my man. Appreciate you. So in the striking numbers here, I've got Brendan Allen being the better striker. Jacob Malkoun is a pure wrestler and control time guy. Brendan Allen is a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. We saw Brendan Allen striking really shine in the Punahele Soriano fight. He's actually getting outlanded by 0.2 significant strikes per minute. He lands 4.39, absorbs 4.59, throws just a little less volume than his opponents, as he's throwing 8. His opponents are throwing 8.25. 55% striking accuracy, 3 knockdowns in 9 fights, so a decent amount of power there. 0.62 knockdowns per 15 minutes, and he's been knocked down 0.41 times per 15 minutes. And he has been knocked down, it looks like, twice in 9 fights. Malkoun been knocked down once in 3 fights. That was by Phil Hawes, and he's landing almost 1 more significant strike per minute than he absorbs, and he throws about 1.3 more attempts than his opponents do. On the ground, this is going to be interesting because Jacob Malkoun is the much better wrestler here. And what makes Malkoun so dangerous is he is a very willing chain wrestler. He knows that it's his path to victory, and he brings, even more importantly, the gas tank to push that pace for the full 15 minutes. Jacob Malkoun's conditioning is excellent. He's not going to get tired in this fight, and he can push a grappling heavy pace for the full 15 minutes. So Jacob Malkoun's striking, below average for the middleweight division. His size, way below average for the middleweight division. But what he does very, very, very well is out-wrestle his opponents and win minutes on the ground, and not exchange in the striking exchanges where he's going to be at a deficiency because of his size, because of his striking pedigree. So we see Malkoun's numbers here. 69.2% control time for, 1.65% control time against. So, less than 3 out of 10 seconds of his fights on the aggregate are taking place in the striking realm. He has to grapple in order to be successful. Brendan Allen is just as happy to grapple as he is to strike, but he's been so much more dangerous in the grappling exchanges. Brendan getting his takedowns at a 33% clip, 1.04 takedowns per 15 minutes in comparison to 6.93 for Malkoun. But we see the submission attempts. Malkoun attempting 1 per 15 minutes, Brendan Allen attempting 1.66. And Brendan, very, like the efficiency is in the meaty part of the curve for Allen here, as he is 1-to-1 on control time, 1-to-1 on takedowns, and he's attempted more takedowns than his opponents have. So 50% takedown defense for Brendan Allen, and I think that that's because he likes being on the ground. He likes grappling. I think that, we're going to find out how good Brendan Allen is from his back in this fight, because Jacob is not going to strike with him. And if he does, he's going to lose. And Brendan probably could take down Jacob Malkoun if he wanted to, but I don't think he's going to even have to worry about that. I think that Brendan will probably fold like a lawn chair the very first time Jacob tries to take him down. He'll try to keep it in the center of the cage, work from his guard, and he'll work that straight armbar triangle progression that he goes to. And then from there, he'll be looking to sweep or finish the fight with a triangle or an armbar. Brendan is the much better all-around mixed martial artist here. We look at who this guy's been fighting. The ratios are very much the same, but Brendan's fighting them twice as experienced competition. When you look at the wins, the ratio is 2-2 for Malkoun's 1.57 for Allen, but Allen is fighting the much more experienced and beating the much more experienced competition, and losing to really good fighters with a 4.33 win-loss ratio, 6.5 wins, 1.5 losses. So Brendan, the thing about Brendan Allen, which I think is very important to note, is that while Malkoun was crushing cans in Australia, Brendan Allen was over in LFA fighting Trevin Giles, fighting Anthony Hernandez, fighting let me see here. Zebulon Stroud, I believe, is on his record. Now, I don't know who Zebulon Stroud is, but his name is Zebulon, so that's pretty fucking cool. Look, he's got a loss to Trevin Giles, Legacy FC. He's got a win over Sidney Wheeler in Valor fights on the regional scene. a win over John Kirk, 19-12. A loss to Eric Anders, Anthony Hernandez. You know, I mean, he's fighting some killer guys back when Jacob Malkoun isn't even a pro yet. So this guy has been fighting top-level competition for a very long time. Sid Wheeler, Eric Anders, Chris Harris, Anthony Hernandez, Moses Marietta, Tim Hiley, 7-0. So this guy's fighting in LFA, and then he comes in, finishes Aaron Jeffrey, finishes Kevin Holland, finishes Tom Breeze, wins an amazing fight against Kyle Dawkins. And then he loses to Sean Strickland, who's a fantastic boxer, showed very poor fight IQ there, didn't go to the grappling at all, finishes Carl Roberson, beats Punahele Soriano, gets knocked out by another great striker in Chris Curtis, and then he knocks out Sam Alvey. Or no, he subbed Sam Alvey, but he hurt him first. So Malkoun, you know, is fighting back in 2019 Christoph Van Dyke in Wollongong Wars and Ryan Haketa 5-4, and then a 1-0 guy named Cam Roston. So the level of competition is not really even close here. And he's beaten guys with trash ground games in AJ Dobson and Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who have nothing from their back. They don't have the ability to get back up when they get taken down. They don't offer any submission threat from their back. But Brendan Allen's a guy who's shown only that 50% takedown defense because he's willing to be in those grappling exchanges and work for submissions there. And I think that this is going to be by far the best grappler that Jacob Malkoun has faced so far. And, you know, this guy's been training at Sanford. I just think he's way better than Jacob Malkoun. And if you're betting Malkoun, just bet him to win by decision. Right now, the props on Malkoun are sitting about plus 600 to plus 800. So if you really think that Malkoun is going to out-wrestle this dude, he's going to win a ton of minutes on the ground, he's going to grind him out because he's got great conditioning, he's got the endurance to push that game plan. And if Brendan Allen gets taken down and can't offer submission and sweeps from his back and can't get back up and can't keep it striking, well then, you know, Malkoun probably will cruise to a decision win here. But I really see Brendan Allen piecing him up on the feet. I see him constantly threatening with submissions, and I think that once Brendan Allen gets on top of Malkoun, it's going to be very, very bad for Jacob here. So I am definitely picking Brendan Allen to win this one, and I think he's going to submit Jacob Malkoun probably in the second round in this fight. We're an hour and 17 minutes in, and we've got the main card coming up here, the kickoff for the main card. Jack Della Maddalena squaring off against Ramazan Emeev. So let me get the banner up for this fight. And Della Maddalena sitting at minus 151, Emeev at plus 131. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 150. So Jack is 10 years younger, an inch taller, and he's got Ramazan Emeev has a 3-inch reach advantage. Jack Della Maddalena fights out of both stances. Ramazan is a southpaw. Evidently, Ramazan's training at ATT. It's scrappy MMA for Jack Della Maddalena. Russia versus Australia. So Ramazan way more experienced. 12 more pro fights. Almost 200 more minutes in the pro cage. And about 6.5 more years as a pro. He's also got 5 more fights at the UFC level and almost 100 more minutes in the UFC cage. So a 3-inch reach advantage, you know, and a big experience advantage here for Ramazan Emeev, while Jack Della Maddalena fights out of both stances and is 10 years younger than Ramazan Emeev here. Finish rates. Della Maddalena just got his first decision win against Angalusa as in the Contender Series. He's finished 10 of his 11 wins inside the distance, mostly by knockout. Emeev, a 50% finisher as a pro, 10 of his 20 wins coming inside the distance, 7 by submission, 3 by knockout, and 10 by decision. But in his 5 UFC wins, Ramazan Emeev has never finished one of his opponents. These guys are losing inside the distance. Della Maddalena finished in both of his losses. Emeev finished once by submission, once by knockout, and the other 3 losses are by decision. We've got a decent sample size of numbers here for Ramazan. He lands 0.5 more significant strikes than he absorbs, and his opponents throw a half more significant strike attempts per minute than Ramazan does. 45% striking accuracy. He's landed 1 knockdown in 7 fights, so there's not much power there for Ramazan. And he's showing a 66% striking defense, so very defensively responsible. A pretty good minute winner when he mixes in his grappling. Now, Della Maddalena is going to be the far, far, far better striker in this matchup. He lands 8.4 significant strikes per minute, absorbs only 5, throws 3 more attempts per minute than his opponents. He's landing at almost a 50% accuracy, and he's landed 1 knockdown in 2 fights. Jack is also very defensively responsible, showing 65% striking defense, and he has never been knocked down. Now, the grappling numbers are key in this fight. Excuse me, guys. Emeev, 7 UFC fights, you guys, 55 takedown attempts. Now, he's not getting them at a great clip, less than 30%, but he's averaging 2.29 takedowns for 15 minutes. He goes for the occasional submission at 0.57 submission attempts for 15 minutes, and he's out-controlling his opponents 27.3% to 7.3%. So almost a 4-to-1 control time ratio for Ramazan Emeev. More than a third of his fights were taking place in control time positions, and he's winning about 80% of those grappling exchanges. And showing 66% takedown defense and not getting controlled a lot. Pretty good efficiency numbers, I'd say. They're on point. Jack has attempted 3 takedowns, gotten none of them. He's been taken down once. He's yielded 13.25% control time in only 18 minutes in the UFC cage. So we're going to see Jack's takedown defense tested here. But Ramazan is not a guy that goes out there and gets 500, 600, 700 seconds of control time. And if he's not able to do that here, I don't think he's winning this fight. And that's the thing. When we look at the advanced stats and we look at in depth what Ramazan Emeev has done, and let's look at those control time numbers and let's look at those takedown numbers, because the 55 takedown attempts has got, that pops your eyes a little bit and it says, whoa, okay, this guy is very committed to the wrestling. But for somebody that's that committed to the wrestling, we always see him out-controlling his opponents, 177 to 158, 268 to 126, 410 to 21, 164 to 11, 144 to 36, 306 to 5, 252 to 2. So in 4 fights, he's allowed less than 100 seconds of control time, and he's won 3 of those 4 fights. He did lose to Anthony Rocco Martin, getting out-controlling him 164 to 11, and he lost to Danny Roberts, out-controlling him 177 to 158. But we see, all 7 of his fights have went to decision. The last 2 have been split decisions. But in terms of the grappling, we see the takedown attempts 9, 6, 3, 9, 12, 9, 7. And he's getting them 2, 4, 4, 0, 2, 3, 1. But the control time is not, it's the best he's ever done is 410 seconds. The second best is 306. But I think he's going to have to win more than that, because we've seen the judges not favor control time recently. They really are scoring damage. And if they're doing that, Ramazan Emeev is going to have to win more minutes than what he's been winning. He's going to have to get a bigger percentage in this 1721 out of 6,300 that we've seen so far. So that 1721 is 27.32%. That's not even a full round of control time in a 3-round fight. So because I think Della Maddalena is, he's 10 years younger, you got to love that. His hands are so much better. He throws more volume. He's got more power. I just think that as long as Ramazan isn't winning a ton of minutes up against the cage, isn't spamming takedowns, that this should be Jack Della Maddalena. even though he's less experienced, even though he's not as good of a grappler as we know of, even though we don't really know what the takedown defense looks like, what I do know is that these guys, David Zawada, Danny Roberts, Nick Stolza, Stefan Sekulic, Sam Alvey, these are not guys that have this amazing grappling pedigree. You know, that we would say that they're way better than Jack Della Maddalena. You know, so I feel like this, you know, should be Jack Della Maddalena. He should be clearly winning the striking exchanges and keeping the grappling exchanges close and making it difficult for Ramazan to win minutes there. And if he achieves that objective, I think he wins this fight. And I think he can even win it inside the distance, but I'm going to pick Jack Della Maddalena to win this fight by decision. Next fight, a banger. Manel Kape, Rogerio Bontorin. Kape, a big favorite, minus 225. Bontorin, plus 190 on the comeback. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 180. This is a great flyweight fight here. It's hard to know what to think of our guy Manel Kape. You know, he's fought really good competition. The fights against Nicolau, against Pantoja, you know, though that is some of the best competition that you can find in the division. And those fights were both close. You can make arguments that he won both of them. A knockout over Odi Osborne, a knockout over Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And then we've got Bontorin, who's facing some really quality opponents thus far in the UFC, with Paiva, Borg, Kara France, Danger Schnell, Matt Royval. So this is going to be a good one. Manel Kape is 2 years younger, and he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage and be a southpaw. So I like the tail of the tape for Manel Kape just slightly. Kape got one more fight, but Bontorin about 35 more minutes in the pro cage. Kape about 1 more year as a pro. Bontorin 3 more UFC level fights and about 40 more minutes in the UFC cage. So the tail of the tape, the pro experience, the UFC experience, all very close here. Both of these guys, fantastic finishers. 94% finish rate. 16 out of 17 wins for Manel Kape inside the distance. 65% by knockout, almost 30% by sub. And Bontorin with an 83% finish rate and 17 wins. 65% by sub, 18% by knockout. Kape has been subbed in 2 of his 6 pro losses. Bontorin knocked out in 1 of his 4 losses, submitted in 1 of his 4 losses. In the striking numbers, we see Bontorin absorbing more than he lands and his opponents throwing more volume than him. 52% striking accuracy, no knockdowns. He's been knocked down once. Kape landing a little bit more than he absorbs. His opponent's throwing a little bit more volume, but those power numbers, 3 knockdowns in 4 fights, not to be ignored. 1.16 knockdowns for 15 minutes, not to be ignored. So I got to believe that Manel Kape is going to be the minute winner on the feet and potentially the moment winner, but both of these guys throw heavy leather. But Bontorin in 7 fights has gotten 15 of his 25 takedowns, averaging 2.9 takedowns for 15 minutes, 25% control time for, 20% control time against. So about 44% of his fights taking place in control time positions, for or against. I love the efficiency numbers here. He's got just as many takedowns as his opponents, but he's out-controlling his opponents by 5%, and his opponents have thrown 4 more takedown attempts than Bontorin has. Kape has done a great job of keeping his fights standing. 89% of Kape's UFC experience has been at striking range, and I think that that's where he would like to keep this fight. He's attempted 7 takedowns, gotten 2 of them, but, you know, less than 3% control time for. We can't count on Manel Kape to win minutes in the grappling exchanges here. And very interesting that he's only faced 10 takedown attempts in 4 fights, and his opponents have gotten only 2 of them. So 80% takedown defense for Kape is very good, and he's only getting out-controlled by about a 2.5 to 1 ratio. And like I say, 89% of his fights are taking place at striking range. So I think that it's going to be Bontorin's path to make this to mix in the grappling and make sure that he can do that about half of the fight. Because if he can, I think he can be close enough on the feet where if Bontorin can win enough of the grappling exchanges that he can come out the other side here with a win. And we do know that Manel Kape can tend to get a little bit cautious on the feet. He because he's such a good finisher, because he's such a good moment winner, he doesn't really, I don't know if it's in his game plan to win minutes. And that's a problem because we saw that in the Pantoja fight. We saw that in the Nicolau fight, that hesitancy. There's no way he won that Pantoja fight. He was moving backwards the entire time. Pantoja was just throwing more volume than him, and he was just trying to land one big strike every minute, and he missed with almost all of them. So I can't bet Kape unless I think that, unless I think he's going to get a finish, because he's not a minute winner. He's lost both decisions at the UFC level. In his 23 career fights as a pro, he's only won one decision. And for Bontorin, it's 83%. So, he's won 3 decisions in his career, but at least we know that Bontorin can win minutes in the grappling exchanges like he did against Kai Kara France, like he did against Danger Schnell, like he did against Paiva. These were some good spots for him to get those takedowns, get to his opponent's backs, threaten submissions. He's getting more submission attempts per his opponents. He's getting more takedowns than his opponents, and he's getting more control time. So that's going to be Bontorin's path. I don't think Kape is that much better of a minute winner on the feet in order to ignore the fact that I think Bontorin is going to make him grapple, potentially tire him out. And I think that this is a very live spot at the line for Bontorin. And if we look at the strength of schedule numbers, we see that Kape has got the advantage, the better ratio and the very similar amount of total fights. And when we look at the wins, though, they're better for Bontorin. 1.67 ratio to 1.33 for Kape, and a little more experienced competition Bontorin is beaten. And then the losses are just a little bit better for Kape. So this is a very close fight. Like I say, I don't think Kape is that much better on the feet. I don't have faith in Manel Kape's ability to be able to win minutes. So I think if you're on the Kape side, bet him inside the distance. That's how he wins fights. But if this thing goes to the scorecards, man, I wouldn't want to be holding Manel Kape money line ticket at minus 225 because I think it's going to be very close. I'm going to go and pick the underdog here and pick Rogerio Bontorin to win this fight by decision. And like I say, if you're on that Kape side and you're confident there, I would get it. What is the inside the distance line on Kape? Because that's how I would play it. Like I say, he's only won one decision in his career. So the inside the distance line on Kape is plus money. It's plus 110, plus 135 on 5 dimes. That's how I would play it because it's way better than laying minus 225 for a guy that we know in Kape doesn't have great fight IQ, waits to land that big bomb, and is not concerned with winning minutes. So that's going to be an underdog that I'm liking there, and I probably will have some money on Rogerio Bontorin this week. And let's see here. Oh, it looks like my guy F. Carrillo is in here. Next Dono, the myth, the man, the legend. Good night, my brother, and appreciate you. F. Carrillo, thank you so much for supporting the show, my man. It means so much. You've been here since day one, supporting me, keeping the lights on here at Uncle Weezy's house, and I appreciate you, man. It means so much. But, yeah, it's a great fight, and I'm probably leaning Bontorin. I'm picking Bontorin. But, I wouldn't be surprised if Manel Kape, I think he's a very good fighter. I think he's well-rounded. He's explosive, and he's getting better. He's still young. But, I just think he does dumb things sometimes, and I don't want to lay minus 225 on guys that don't show urgency to win minutes. Next fight, the rematch that everybody asked for, unlike last week, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Felice Herrig, the rematch that nobody asked for. Here we go. Zhang Weili, Joanna champion, plus 140 for Joanna, minus 160 for Zhang, plus 185. The fight doesn't go to decision. When we go to the advanced stats here, the very first stat that we have to mention here for Joanna Jędrzejczyk is how long she's been away from the cage. The last fight, March 7th, 2020. So it's been over 2 years and 3 months since we've seen Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the cage. And she will be fighting this fight that she just lost to Zhang Weili. And, you know, I mean, she lost it. It was a coin flip fight. It would be hard to be angry about either one of these ladies winning. But Joanna outlanded her 186 to 165. But Zhang threw more volume and maybe landed some of the bigger strikes. But it was a great fight, an absolute classic, one of the best women's strawweight fights of all time. Now Liang against Ariane Carnelossi is actually up there as well, in my opinion. But this was a championship fight. So it's a great one, you guys. Can't wait to see it again. But Joanna, 2 years older, but she's got a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Zhang fights out of both stances. It's orthodox for Joanna, American top team. And Zhang training at Fight Ready at Black Tiger Fight Club, and she's someplace out in Singapore right now, or maybe in Thailand right now. I'm not sure if she's actually training with the Fight Ready guys or with another camp for this fight. Zhang, 4 more professional fights, but it's Joanna with 140 more minutes in the cage, a year and a half more as a pro, 7 more UFC level fights, and about 190 more minutes in the UFC cage. Zhang, the much better finisher here, 81% finish rate in 20 wins. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, 31% finish rate in 16 wins. Joanna has finished 2 of her 10 UFC fights. Zhang Weili, 2 of her 5 UFC wins. And Zhang has been finished by knockout once at the UFC level. And for Joanna, it's been finished by knockout once as well. And they've both only been finished by knockout in their pro careers, just one time each. When we look at the striking stats here, and this is going to be a striking match, make no mistake about it. Joanna's takedown defense is excellent. Zhang, you know, it might mix in the wrestling, but, you know, I think that she probably can win the striking exchanges as well. So Zhang landing about 1.4 more significant strikes per minute than she absorbs. She throws about 3.5 more per minute than her opponents do. She's landing at a 46% clip, 1 knockdown, and she's been knocked down once. Joanna lands 6.3 and absorbs 3.08. So fantastic minute winning on the feet for Joanna. She throws 13.1. Her opponents throw 8.61. Only 1 knockdown, though, in 14 fights. So it's going to be Zhang with the better natural power here. And Joanna has been knocked down twice in 14 fights. So we're going to see here when we go down to the grappling numbers that Zhang is the more willing grappler. 32 takedown attempts in 7 fights, while it's 8 takedown attempts in 14 fights for Joanna. So we see that Zhang outcontrolling her opponents 19% to 8%, while Joanna is getting outcontrolled 21% to 7%. But what's interesting about that is that Joanna has only been taken down 24 times in 14 fights, despite the fact that her opponents have attempted 130 takedowns over 14 fights. So more than 9 takedown attempts per fight, but she's only allowing 1.32 takedowns, and she's only given up about 54 minutes of control time on those 130 takedown attempts. So Zhang only showing 60% takedown defense and not great efficiency. You know, she's out takedowning her opponents 5-1, but only out controlling them about 2.5-1. Joanna's opponents are out takedowning her at about a 5-1 ratio, but they're out controlling her at less than a 3-1 ratio. And they're out controlling her at less than a 3-1 ratio, despite the fact that they're attempting 16 takedowns for every one that Joanna does. So Joanna very, very efficient at keeping fights standing. And when she keeps the fight standing, she's a fantastic minute winner there. So I think that this fight takes place mostly in the striking range. Not real controversial there. But if we do see one fighter mixing in the wrestling, it will probably be Zhang Weili. When we look at the strength of schedule numbers, we're going to see both fighting fantastic competition. A little bit of an edge here for Zhang, a little bit of an edge in the wins for Zhang, and a little bit of an edge in the losses for Zhang. So Zhang's been more active. She's been fighting recently. She's probably the more willing grappler and the more likely of the two to win the grappling exchanges or win minutes when it is in the grappling. Zhang's probably more powerful. The experience advantage definitely goes to Joanna. The reach and height go to Joanna. The striking goes to Joanna. But that power could be just enough for Zhang to equalize this striking battle. So, I guess it depends on where you think Joanna is at this point, because we haven't seen her in 2 years and 3 months. But from what I've heard, she's just been training. She's just been getting better. And she's still only 34 years old. Zhang is 32. So it's not like Zhang's much younger than her or at a much different place in her career right now than Joanna. So I'm very, very interested to see what happens in this fight. I'm picking that this fight goes to decision for sure. I think whichever fighter you like here, pick them to win by decision. But I'm going to lean Zhang Weili. I just need to see a little bit more from Joanna. It's been over 2 years. Don't know where her head is at. Don't know how much she wants this at this point. And I do know that Zhang is one win away from another title shot here. And she needs this. And I like the power. I like the fact that she might be able to win a couple minutes of the fight with her grappling. And I like the fact that she's been more active, more busy, and then we just know a little bit more about where she's at right now. So I'm going to be picking Zhang Weili to win this one by decision. That brings us to the co-main event. The co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko against Taila Santos. Shevchenko, 6 years older than Taila, so Taila's got a 1-inch height advantage, a 2-inch reach advantage, and she's 6 years younger here. Valentina, 5 more pro fights, 130 more minutes in the cage, and about 10 more years as a pro mixed martial artist. 7 more UFC level fights, and about 125 more minutes in the UFC cage. So big time experience advantage here for Shevchenko, but a nice little tail of the tape advantage here for Taila Santos. Finishing rates, 68% for Shevchenko, 69% for Taila Santos. Shevchenko only been finished once. Taylor's never been finished in 20 pro fights. So yeah, in 45 combined pro fights for Santos and Shevchenko, they've only been finished once. So two very durable ladies. Shevchenko does a great job of winning minutes on the feet, as does Taila Santos. 3.36 landed, 1.96 absorbed for Valentina. 3.71 landed, 2.23 absorbed for Taila. So they're both got fantastic striking ratios. They both throw more volume than their opponents. It's Taila who's showing more power here, though, with 3 knockdowns in only 6 fights, while for Valentina Shevchenko, it's only 1 knockdown in 13 fights. So Santos has got a nice little power advantage here at the UFC level. They're both fantastic in their striking defense. When we look at the grappling numbers, these numbers are very close, you guys. Taila Santos is as live of a dog as we've seen against Valentina Shevchenko for a while. I thought that Jessica Andrade was kind of live, but Jessica had been fighting at 115, moved up to 125, kind of got jumped the line, and Valentina just kind of ragdolled her. But we've seen Taila do really good with her grappling. I'm wondering if she can keep this fight standing. Look, Valentina, 64% on her takedown accuracy, and that's on 59 takedown attempts over 13 fights. So she's attempting over 4 takedowns per fight. She's getting them at almost a 2/3 clip. 2.74 takedowns for, 0.36 submission attempts, out-controlling her opponents at a 2.5 to 1 ratio, showing over 75% takedown defense, only yielding a half takedown per 15 minutes and yielding very few submission attempts against. But Taila Santos is getting her takedowns at an even better clip than Valentina Shevchenko has, 86.67%, 2.44 per 15 minutes, and she's out-controlling her opponents at better than a 3 to 1 ratio. And that's despite the fact that Taila has had 3 more takedowns on her than she's attempted. So Taylor's opponents have attempted 18 takedowns. Taylor's only attempted 15, but she's out-controlling her opponents 42.3% to 13.7%. So Taylor has just looked fantastic so far. She came in, she lost her debut to Mara Romero Borello, a woman with a 2-5 record in the UFC. Talked about some horrible nerves in that fight. Still lost that one by split decision. And then since then has won a unanimous decision against Molly McCann, a unanimous decision against Jillian Robertson, a unanimous decision against Roxanne Modafferi, and then a win by submission over Joanne Calderwood. While Shevchenko's been fighting the tougher competition, she's been a belt holder forever. She's fighting Murphy, Andrade, Maya, Chukagian, Carmouche, Jessica Ai, some other names. So while Shevchenko hasn't been fighting killers lately, I mean, other than Andrade, Lauren Murphy, I'm not impressed with. Jennifer Maya's got a losing record. Chukagian's a split decision queen. Liz Carmouche is over in Bellator now, and old. And, so look, the strength of schedule numbers, they absolutely lean Shevchenko. The wins are better for Shevchenko. The losses are better for Shevchenko. Everything tells us that Taila Santos is taking an absolutely gigantic step up in competition. It's like going from the basement to 30,000 feet in the air. So I see why Valentina is a big favorite at minus 600. Taila Santos has never been finished in 20 professional fights, but I don't know if she's really ever seen somebody that's going to be as hellacious on top of her as Valentina is. If this fight stays standing, I think it's going to be very close. But if Valentina gets Taila's back against the mat and starts working on top, I think it's going to get ugly very fast. Taila is a striker first and a grappler second. She's definitely rounded out her game. She's only 28 years old, and we've seen her go to that grappling more and more ever since she came into the UFC. When she came into the UFC, she was definitely known more as a striker. 53% knockout rate, only 16% submission rate. And one of those submissions did come in the UFC, and it was because Joanne would. She'll tap to, if you ask her, please tap. So, Santos, not known for her submission game. I think Valentina's ground game is going to be the difference maker in this fight. And I think that she probably gets Santos out of there in the championship rounds. I'm going to pick Valentina Shevchenko by ground and pound knockout in round number 4, which brings us to the main event, you guys. Yuri Prochazka trying to unseat the old lion, Glover Teixeira, 42 years old or 43 years old? 42 years old, and he will be 43 in October. So this is a great main event. There's probably very few fighters on the planet that are more exciting than Yuri Prochazka. The guy's a unicorn. There's nobody like him. And I said it on Stat Diggers. If you were to create the exciting fighter prototype in a lab, you'd come out with somebody like Yuri Prochazka, somebody with fantastic, explosive striking with a ton of power, somebody with horseshit takedown defense, but a pretty good get-up game, somebody with a great chin that can just walk through, a bunch of shots and land that one big shot, and somebody that, just brings a chaotic pace for the entire fight. 32 professional fights for Yuri Prochazka, 1 draw. He's got a 96% finish rate in his wins, and he's got a 100% finish rate in his losses. So only 2 of 32 fights have went the distance for Yuri Prochazka. And for Glover Teixeira, he's got an 85% finish rate in 33 wins. So 33 times 0.85, that's 28 wins inside the distance out of 33 for Glover Teixeira. 55% by knockout, 30% by sub. And then we got 43% knockout for Glover Teixeira losses, and Prochazka has been finished in all 3 of his pro losses. Dude, by the way, my guy Ken Knowles in here saying, yo, Unc, last week I hit 2 10-teamers, $10 to win 800 and 26 to win 1,000. Dude, I love hearing people cash bets like that, man. That is an awesome, awesome win, man. Congratulations, brother. So we've got, so both of these guys, incredible finishers. It's Teixeira who's more experienced, right? About 200 more minutes in the pro cage, 8 more fights, 19 more UFC level fights, 200 more minutes in the UFC cage, and about 10 more years as a pro. But it's Yuri Prochazka, who's 13 years younger, an inch taller, and who has a 4-inch reach advantage. And he's the more explosive finisher, even though Glover Teixeira is finishing at an 85% rate. So Glover in the UFC absorbs more strikes than he lands, and his opponents throw more volume than him. He's landing at a 49% accuracy. He's gotten 5 knockdowns, I believe, here in 767 significant strikes landed, 0.35 knockdowns for 15 minutes. And he's been knocked down on 0.6% of the significant strikes that he's absorbed, 54% striking defense. Now, Jiri landing 7.2, absorbing 6.8, 53% striking accuracy, huge power numbers here as he's landed 2 knockdowns in 2 fights, but he's only showing 48% striking defense, and he blocks punches with his face. So on the feet, Jiri, he can win some minutes, but so can Glover. I mean, it's about the moment winning on the feet, because that's where Jiri really kind of comes to play. I mean, like we say, he's won 1 decision in his career, and that's in 32 fights. So he's not a minute winner. He will lose minutes in the grappling. He will get taken down. He will get ground and pounded. He will give up submission attempts. But he just needs to land that 1 big shot. And he can walk through 5 of your big shots to land that 1 big shot. So that's why he's so dangerous on the feet. It's the combination of the chin. And as long as that chin holds up, Jiri Prochazka is going to be one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet. The second Jiri Prochazka's chin gets checked or gets cracked, he's not even top 10, because this guy is so hittable and so deficient in the grappling that if he were to start getting, slept by the power shots that are landed on him, he's not going to be good. But we haven't seen it happen yet. This guy's just not really getting knocked out. I think one of the knockout losses came to King Mo, and that was the second fight of the night. He had already beaten Vadim Nemkov that night in a 10-minute first round, where Nemkov retired after the first round, and then he got knocked out in the second fight of the night. So this guy's durability is legendary. But if Glover Teixeira gets on top of you, it doesn't matter if you're durable. Eventually, the ref's going to be peeling him off of you, or you're going to be asleep with an arm triangle or a rear naked choke. So Glover's a good boxer. He does everything well. He doesn't waste a lot of stuff. He throws with power. He's defensively responsible, and he will trade with you, which is not a good idea against Jiri. But look at Glover in the grappling. Look at these numbers. 73 takedown attempts in 21 fights. He's getting them at a 40% clip, averaging over 2 takedowns per 15. He's getting 33% control time for, 14% control time against, and his opponents are attempting almost as many takedowns as Glover is, and they've gotten almost as many takedowns on Glover as Glover's gotten on them. But look at the efficiency. He's out controlling them at a 2.5 to 1 ratio, despite the fact that the takedowns and the takedown attempts are almost similar. Now, Jiri, 10% control time for, 5% control time against, but there wasn't really any grappling in either of his fights. Reyes took him down once, and Reyes doesn't take anybody down. So Glover is going to be able to work the grappling here. He is going to be able to get Jiri Prochazka down. And God damn it, if he does that, this is going to be, I don't even know who I think is going to win this fight, you guys. Jiri is so dangerous on the feet. Glover is so dangerous on the ground. And even when Glover gets hurt and the fight goes to the ground, you don't necessarily want to get on top of this guy and try and ground and pound him out, because if he gets that deep half guard on you, he's going to wind up getting to a hip. He's going to wind up getting a single leg or a double leg or a sweep. And if he gets on top of you, oftentimes when Glover is the most dangerous is within 30 seconds of when you've hurt Glover. So you knock Glover down. You go to the ground with him. You try to ground and pound him out. He gets an overhook. He gets to his right ass cheek. He goes deep half guard. And then all of a sudden, he's got a single leg on you. You wind up on your back. And then he gets your back, chokes you out. So both of these guys are deadly. The fight doesn't go to decision is virtually a sure thing, but it's overpriced. The under 2.5 is a very good look. The under 3.5 is a very good look. Violence bets all over the place for this fight. Look, we're going to find out what Jiri Prochazka's ground game is like, because Glover's going to try to take him down. And once he gets him down, once Glover's on top of you, that's when the rubber meets the road. That's when we find out what you're all about. And this is going to be a test for Jiri. So Jiri makes a lot of mistakes. Jiri's explosive. Jiri relies on his chin, his durability, his athleticism, his size to frustrate his opponents and eventually turn the tide of a fight and win. But Glover has kind of cut out all the shit, right? I mean, he only does what he needs to do. He doesn't waste energy. He doesn't waste takedown attempts. He gets it the first time. And then once he gets you down, he's very efficient in being able to either hurt you with ground and pound or finish you with a submission. So can the old man do it one more time? Can he do it against Jiri Prochazka, who's fought amazing regional scene competition before he got here to the UFC? This guy cleaned out the regional scene before he got here, and then he beats Ozdemir and Dom Reyes, 2 fantastic wins. And now he's knocking on the door of the title at 29 years of age. What do you guys think, man? I mean, this is such a good fight. This is such an exciting fight. The most compelling 205-pound fight that I've seen in a very, very long time. I've been going back and forth on this one all week. Glover's got the grappling. Glover's got the strength of schedule. Jiri's got the chin, the power, and the endurance and the athleticism. Glover's got the experience. Man, I mean, this is such a great fight, but I guess I'm going to do it again, man. I guess I'm picking Glover Teixeira, dude. I think Glover's going to get it done, man. I think he's going to get this thing to the ground, and I think once he does, man, Jiri's going to make a mistake that allows Glover to be able to finish the fight. Love the under 3.5. Love the under 2.5. I'm going to pick Glover Teixeira to win this one by first or second round submission. But I think Glover by submission, the prop right now on FanDuel sitting at plus 420. Gotta love that number. Gotta love those odds. Jiri, if he wins it, he's going to win it inside the distance by knockout because he's not really a minute winner. So Jiri Prochazka, if you're on his side, pick the knockout prop. He's not submitting Glover Teixeira unless he taps the strikes, So I'm going to pick Glover Teixeira here, you guys. And that does it. We made it through all 12 fights. So we've got a couple of orders of business to go through first here. Let me put the tracked bets that I have thus far this week on the screen for you guys. So there's only 2 of them. I work really hard to get all the content done for you guys for Just the Tip on Tuesday night. But usually once I've done Just the Tip, I'll stay up late on Tuesday night. I'll get the timestamps in the video for you guys. And then I'll really start to, now that I've talked through the fights with you guys, I've talked through the fights with Brady on Stat Diggers. I've done a balls deep breakdown or 2. that's when I really hone in on my bets. But what I've found so far was I got the Liang, Silvana Gomez, Juarez under 2.5 about a month ago when it very first opened. I got it at minus 170, put 3.4 units on that. I also have a parlay. It's the Brendan Allen money line at minus 185. At minus 285. Parlay with the Teixeira Jiri under 3.5. That parlay comes out on DraftKings to minus 119, and I hit that for 2.4 units. So I'm going 2.4 units to win 2 on the Allen money line, parlayed with the Teixeira Jiri under, and I've also got 3.4 units to win 2 on the Liang Juarez under 2.5 at minus 170. That line is nowhere even. They took that line off about 10 minutes after they opened it, so I was lucky to get it. So now we're going to go to the greasy 4-leg parlay. And what I've got here is something that I did put down. I don't love this yet. There's not enough props out yet. So I don't really love this parlay. I may amend it or change it a little bit, but this is what I've got so far. So I'm going with the Liang money line as the first leg. The second leg is going to be the fight goes to decision for Jędrzejczyk and Zhang. The third leg, Valentina Shevchenko inside the distance. And the fourth leg is Teixeira Prochazka fight doesn't start round 4. This is on FanDuel. It is not eligible for insurance, but this is at plus 976. If I were to change this at all, I would probably put the under 1.5, which isn't available yet on FanDuel for Liang and Silvana Gomez Juarez. I think the under 1.5 is probably the best way to play that fight. Right now, I can only put this in with the Liang money line. But I love the fight goes for Jędrzejczyk Zhang. I do think that if Valentina gets Taylor Santos to the ground, gets her back on the mat, we're going to really see her rain down ground and pound and potentially finish this fight. So I do like the Shevchenko inside the distance line. And I absolutely love that Teixeira Prochazka fight doesn't start round 4. So this is plus 976 on FanDuel. That is the greasy 4-legger that I have thus far. But if I do change that or put in another greasy 4-legger, check me out on Twitter at MMA Weezy. Follow me there, and you will see me. If I do put out or I amend this, I will change it there and let you guys know. And that leaves us with one more order of business, you guys. So we got Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Last week, we came through with Alonzo Menafield over Trash Car Mozarov, and we've got some good chances for ass shavings here. I mean, like Shevchenko's a big favorite. Kape's a big favorite. Jack Della Maddalena's live. Brendan Allen's certainly live. Seung Choi over Culibao, I think, is a good choice. The Maheshate Garcia is a close fight. This 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 is kind of close, but I like Joselyne Edwards quite a bit. But yeah, man, I'm not doing any women's fights anymore. Too high variance. So that leaves Pascual Edwards, Liang Juarez, and Shevchenko out of the equation here. So that leaves us with only 9 fights left to pick an ass shaving of the week from. But there is one here. Now, I'm already nervous about it, you guys. I'm already nervous about it. But I have to trust my read on this fight. All right, wait. Let's go. Let's get this banner up here. Let's get it up for you guys. Let's kill all the suspense right now. Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week for UFC 275 is going to be Brendan Allen to shave the ass of Jacob Malkoun. I hate this matchup for Malkoun. I absolutely hate this matchup. I think that Brendan Allen always wants to be on the ground. And I think that whenever he's on the ground, he's at his most comfortable, whether he's on the bottom or on the top. He's had Breeze on top of him. He's had Kevin Holland on top of him, was able to sweep both of them. He's had Kyle Dawkins on top of him. I mean, all 3 of these guys are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. Jacob Malkoun is a wrestler, an okay submission grappler, but I mean, you guys, he's never submitted anybody as a pro mixed martial artist. And this guy fought cans in Australia before he got here to the United States. Only 3 professional fights on his record when he came into the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. So Brendan Allen is bigger, way bigger. Brendan Allen is way more experienced, both as a professional and at the UFC level. Brendan Allen is the far superior striker, and we saw that striking take the next step. He was in there against Sean Strickland. He was in there striking against Punahele Soriano. He's going to easily win minutes on the feet against Jacob Malkoun. And when Malkoun goes to take him down, I think that's where Brendan Allen is going to be at his most dangerous. He's going to roll for leg locks. He's going to do that straight armbar to the triangle transition. He's going to look for sweeps. And when he gets on top of Malkoun, that's one thing we haven't seen at all of Malkoun on this level. And I mean, I don't really see how you think that if Malkoun winds up on the bottom, that he's going to thrive there underneath Brendan Allen. I don't see that at all. And then when we add in the strength of schedule, it's not even close. So I'm picking Brendan Allen. I've got him in that parlay with the under 3.5 in the Glover fight, and I'm hoping that that cashes. But I am going with Brendan all in Allen. Covington, Louisiana, stand up. Your boy's going to get it done for his Uncle Weezy, and he's going to shave the ass of Jacob Malkoun right before the main card starts this Saturday, UFC 275. My God. We got 94 of you guys in here hanging out with your Uncle Weezy on Tuesday night. I'd like to thank each and every one of you guys for spending your Tuesday night with me, your host, Uncle Weezy, here on my channel for just the tip. We've got to stack cashed tickets like flapjacks for UFC 275. Check me out tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio for the DFS show. We'll get some DraftKings angles going with DFS by the numbers, Monk Maddox, and my guy Gordo Gambles. Check me out on Thursday night on the MMA Engine YouTube channel with my guy DFS by the numbers when we go through the prop template for all 14 fights on this card and give you a data-driven look into all these over-under lines, and we try to find some ways to make some money on those fights. And after that, all that we have to worry about is making some money and cashing some tickets on UFC 275. Thank all of you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you to everybody who hit that big up button. Thank you to everybody. A special thanks to everybody that donated to the channel today. Really appreciate it. Let's hit another greasy 4-legger. Let's hit another ass shaving of the week. And let's beat these bookies with a bag of oranges until we juice them, you guys. I'm going to take the rest of the night off. I'm going to get timestamps on this video for you guys right now. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio. God bless each and every one of you guys. See you soon. Let's cash some tickets for UFC 275.